Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Friday, May 23rd of 2025, and today is day 595. Many updates from Israel related to Gaza and other parts of the Middle East over the last 24 hours. Yesterday, on Thursday, with renewed ceasefire talks appearing to make little progress, Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel said that he will only end the war if Hamas releases all of the hostages and steps down from power, and if President Donald Trump's plan to relocate the territory's population outside of Gaza is implemented. The Palestinians, along with nearly all of the international community, have rejected President Trump's plan for the relocation of the Palestinian people and to empty Gaza of its population and to place the territory under the U.S.'s control. Meanwhile, in Gaza, the Palestinian minister there reported that 29 starvation-related deaths occurred among children in Gaza and elderly people. The Palestinian health minister said on Thursday that 29 children and elderly had died from starvation-related deaths in Gaza just in recent days, and that many more thousands of people are at risk. Food aid is expected to start reaching Gazans. That was supposed to happen yesterday after Israel let in the first trucks following 11 weeks of a complete blockade, but Palestinian aid officials said that it's just still a fraction of what is needed. In the last couple of days, we've lost 29 children, said the health minister Majed Abu Ramadan, describing them as starvation-related deaths, and he later clarified that the total number also included elderly people as well as children. The United Nations said that 90 lorry loads of aid are now in Gaza after 3 days of delays at crossings. Several Gaza bakeries did begin producing bread yesterday after 90 lorries worth of supplies had been collected by UN aid teams inside of Gaza. One of the things that was happening, you'll recall that in the first days, 5 trucks were allowed into Gaza, but then they sat on the inside of the Gaza crossing because there was an inability to have security teams then be able to take them for distribution. So 90 trucks worth of supplies had been collected by UN aid teams. The Israeli military said that a total of 107 aid trucks have entered the territory. That was yesterday. The amount of aid is still nowhere near enough, said the United Nations, as well as the Palestine Red Crescent Society. The president of the Red Crescent Society, Yunus Al-Khatib, warned that only a third of PRCS ambulances in Gaza are operational because of fuel shortages. Meanwhile, Israeli strikes and ground operations have continued, and in the last 24 hours, at least 107 people were killed in Gaza. That was the report from this morning over the last 24 hours. The Israeli military also issued evacuation orders for Jabalia and 13 other neighborhoods in the north of Gaza. And an emergency center for malnourished children at Khan Yunis's Nasser Hospital is now at full capacity, and they are almost completely out of supplies, according to a medic who told the Associated Press news service. Children in Gaza are already dying from malnutrition, a UNICEF spokesperson said. The Israeli airstrike that the military said killed the leader of Hamas, Mohammed Sinwar, struck a meeting of the group's highest-ranking militants and killed several other important operatives, leaving a void in Hamas's top leadership. That was according to both Arab and Hamas officials. Hamas operatives found Sinwar's body after the strike. They buried it in a temporary grave in a tunnel, according to officials, confirming Israeli claims that he was most likely dead. News from Thursday and from the day before. So in the last 48 hours, Israel's military operations and evacuation orders are stretching Gaza's health system beyond the breaking point. That's according to the Director General of the World Health Organization, as hospital staff and aid groups have reported that 2 of northern Gaza's last surviving hospitals have now been encircled by Israeli troops this past week and have come under fire. There are also chronic shortages of water in Gaza. Those are worsening amid Israel's expanding military offensive. There's a full shutdown of water and sanitation facilities That's possible by the end of this week, according to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. They cited warnings that it has received from its partners in the Gaza Strip. Prime Minister Netanyahu said on Wednesday, as I mentioned, that he would only end the war in Gaza if Hamas releases all the hostages and steps down from power. So that's been a part of the conversation over the last 48 hours. As you know, the UN, humanitarian aid groups, Arab states, and a number of Western states as well have rejected Trump's plan for the forced displacement of the population in Gaza. In Lebanon, Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, agreed to a roadmap to disarm Palestinian factions that are remaining there. This was during a 3-day trip that he took to Lebanon. After meeting with the Lebanese President Joseph Aoun on Wednesday, the Palestinian Authority and the president of Lebanon issued a joint statement that was released on social media and other outlets, saying that there was a commitment from both sides to the principle that all weapons in the country must be controlled by state authorities. They declared their belief that the era of weapons outside of the authority of the Lebanese state is over. There were also Israeli airstrikes that struck South Lebanon before the region's first municipal elections in years. This is quite significant because the municipal elections are viewed as a referendum against Hezbollah. So Israel carried out a wave of airstrikes in South Lebanon. One person was killed, another was wounded, just before the first municipal elections in South Lebanon in more than 9 years. The strikes began on Thursday afternoon, and the Israeli military issued evacuation warnings for residents of several villages just outside of the city of Nabatea before carrying out the airstrike. Syrian Kurdish parties will soon send a delegation to Damascus for talks on their region's political future, according to a leading Kurdish politician. The Kurdish party's vision aims for a federal Syria and regional autonomy and is opposed by Syria's interim president Ahmad al-Shara, and they also have opposition from Turkey. Related to Iran, there was a letter to the IAEA and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Iran yesterday threatened to move its nuclear materials to undeclared sites in order to protect it from potential Israeli military strikes. This is, we've been talking in the past several days about US concerns that Israel might attack Iran. Separately, the Iranian Foreign Minister, Araghchi, also said that Iran would consider the U.S. to bear legal responsibility if Israel does attack Iranian nuclear facilities. A U.S. official told Axios that the Trump administration is worried Israel might conduct a strike on Iran even without the United States' approval. Iran increasingly does not believe that nuclear talks with the U.S. will lead to any type of agreement to the U.S. demand that Tehran stops all uranium enrichment activity. And in the U.S. has been talking with Hamas in Doha this past week through Bashar Ababa, a U.S. Palestinian intermediary, in hopes of brokering an Israeli-Gaza ceasefire agreement. Multiple sources have said that Trump is, quote, annoyed, end quote, with the slow pace of the talks and wants the war in Gaza to be brought to an end. Federal prosecutors yesterday charged the suspect in the shooting deaths of the 2 Israeli embassy employees in Washington, D.C., with first-degree murder and other crimes, according to court filings. The FBI affidavit supporting the charges says that the suspect told police officers that he did it for Palestine, that he did it for Gaza. In the ongoing battles between the Trump administration and Harvard, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem yesterday ordered the Homeland Security Department to revoke Harvard University's ability to be able to enroll international students. Noem cited the university's refusal to turn over the conduct records of foreign students as the reason for her decision. According to the statement, existing foreign students must transfer, otherwise they would lose their legal status. Other university-related news, Columbia University violated federal civil rights laws by acting with, quote, deliberate indifference toward student-on-student harassment of Jewish students, end quote, said the Health and Human Services Department's Civil Rights Office yesterday. And Canada is in very high-level talks to join the Trump administration on their Golden Dome defense system, the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said yesterday. Carney did not specify how Canada might participate or whether or not it would pay to do so. Democratic Senators Adam Schiff, Richard Durbin, Cory Booker, Richard Blumenthal, Mazie Hirono, Alex Padilla, Peter Welch, and Sheldon Whitehouse have asked the Justice Department's Inspector General to investigate Attorney General Pam Bondi's role in the Trump administration decision to accept the free luxury jet from Qatar that is now in the U.S.'s possession, according to a copy of the lawmaker's letter seen by the New York Times. And finally, I just wanted to let you know a couple things that are happening at Churches for Middle East Peace. We're in the midst of a mini course being hosted by our Catholic Advisory Council. The first part, Healing and Hope Amidst Catastrophe, the State of Healthcare in Gaza and the West Bank, was hosted on May 14th and included several key speakers talking about the state of healthcare. I'd encourage you to watch that video. One of the speakers is a part of the Caritas Baby Hospital in Bethlehem. So that's available on our YouTube channel. And coming up, there's a webinar called God's Earth, Not Ours to Own, Undoing Possession Through Christian Hope with Willie James Jennings, Mark Charles, and Ben Norquist on May 27th. So join us for those upcoming events. That's the update of the last 24 hours. May the Lord go before us towards peace in the name of Christ. Amen.